What's the one thing you thought could never happen to you, but did? Got cancer. Wish me luck. I was 51. I had the day off and was feeling great. Decided to take an afternoon nap. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I had a massive heart attack that destroyed 40% of my heart. I woke up 3 days later on a ventilator and had no idea what the heck happened. My husband dying. Walked into our bedroom and found him unconscious in bed. He'd been there all day. I just thought he was sleeping the day away since he'd been working so hard for days before. He was not sleeping. I just knew something was off as soon as I stepped into the room. I called his name multiple times, then I touched him, ice cold. I will never forget that moment. Last year, a car crashed straight through my kitchen. So, I'm at the bus stop when this older lady asks for directions to the hospital. I decide to walk her there, and we chat. Turns out, she's a famous author in disguise, researching for her next book. Fast forward, she thanks me, and a few months later, her book drops. I check it out, and there's my name in the acknowledgements. Never thought helping someone out would land me a shout out in a best-selling novel. Life is wild, man. A snake fell from a tree and bit me on the head. ETA, it's incredibly ironic because I've always been more terrified of snakes than anyone I know, so of all people, it happened to me. Getting laid off unexpectedly after years of loyalty to my company. It was a wake-up call about job security and the need to always be prepared. Bad stuff, mass shooting. Good stuff, I never thought I would get married, but we're coming up on 5 years in the fall. Suffering with anorexia. And recovering from anorexia. We watched an eating disorder documentary in school and I remember seeing footage of people in hospital crying over having to eat chips and thinking WTF is wrong with them. A few years later, being in and out of eating disorder units was the next 15 years of my life. I was so entrenched I thought I'd never recover. Hell, I had consultants tell me I'd be a revolving door patient for the rest of my life. As I was leaving my last hospital admission, the consultant told me he'd see me back in a month. That was 5 years ago. It's not be smooth sailing, but I'm in full recovery now, with a full-time job I love, able to enjoy life and eat freely. The life of hospitals is a distant memory. I was shot, also winning a $1,000 in the lottery 3 times from the same kind of ticket. Being in a domestically violent relationship. I got fat, LOL. When you're slim/fit pretty much your whole life, you take it for granted in many ways. It was very easy, at least it was for me, to fall into a rut of bad habits for a variety of reasons, and now I'm in a place where I've got a decent amount of weight to lose and I feel like I'm back at square one when it comes to fitness. If you don't use it, you can in fact, lose it. Getting a really serious case of pneumonia as an active healthy 40-year-old. I went from feeling a bit ill, developing a cough to a coma in intensive care on life support in just 3 days. Spent 5 weeks in a coma with full lung and then kidney failure, and another 3 doing physio and recovering. I never thought I'd get stuck in a revolving door. Turns out, trying to exit gracefully is harder than it looks, especially when the door has other plans for you. Brain tumor at 21. I've had 6 brain surgeries so far and I'm 50 now. This is the tat my son got to remember me by. https://imager.com/a/xyztl3d. My wife died in a car accident. She was on her way home from work. A truck ran a stop sign. She hit him and died. I talked to her less than 5 minutes prior to the crash. Tomorrow isn't promised, guys. Tell the people you care about how much they mean to you. Hold them close. I was an innocent bystander who got shot in the chest during a drive-by. Lost myself and my life to alcoholism before hitting 30. Somehow survived rock bottom and looking at 4 years sober on Independence Day. My brother-in-law had a psychotic break after secretly stopping his medication, and he killed my sleeping father before taking his own life. Just the night before, everything seemed normal, we were laughing and talking, and he even asked me to make a specific meal for dinner the next day. 8 hours later, our family was shattered. Traveling overseas for vacation. For the longest time growing up, I thought my only option for going overseas was to get into military service. Never thought I'd be able to afford to do it otherwise. But I did and have done it several times. Losing my mom. Like, yeah, it's expected to outlive your parents, it's the natural way. But losing my mom last year before I even turned 21 from suicide, destroyed me. I thought she would always be here. I thought she would grow old, be there when I get married and have kids. It still doesn't feel real. Hug your mom and tell her you love her. You'll miss those annoying calls and texts. I won a full oven and top unit in a kitchen sale lottery. I was 8. Becoming homeless. I got old. I never thought I'd lose my best friend so soon, but it happened. My lifelong best friend died 3 months ago. Getting MS. I've always been the healthiest, strongest, fittest, most athletic one of all my friends and family. This can all change overnight. It can happen to anyone. Please be kind to those with disabilities, it could be you tomorrow. Got attacked by an entire swarm of killer bees on top of a mountain. Almost fell off the mountain running down the trail and nearly considered jumping in my panic. Was raking bees out of my hair as they tried to get to my scalp and had to cover my face with my shirt to prevent them from climbing into my face holes. Thought I was gonna die. Got pretty scraped up and stung as I clawed my way down the trail without stopping. I never knew the sound of a swarm could be so loud and terrifying. I had nightmares for weeks after. Another hiker in the same area had been attacked by killer bees a few years prior and they stayed on his body for 8 hours, preventing rescuers from recovering his body. I now have an extreme fear of flying insects, lol. My husband of almost 20 years left because I was sick and needed surgery. I had leukemia as a child and was told I'd never be able to have kids due to radiation and chemotherapy. I have 2 healthy kids who graduated from high school. So to the doctors at MC Master in Hamilton, thank you. I've made it to 1 year and 29 days self-harm free. I have never been clean for this long, so I'm really proud of myself. My mom and I celebrated my year clean time at Dave & Buster's Hugging Face. Essay. I admire those that tell me about their stories. Some days just feels like I'm trying to survive, other days are lighter and more manageable. I lose my appetite and sex drive a lot. And intimacy is harder in relationships for me. Have a special needs child. I slipped on a banana skin, no joke. I got sober. Started drinking whenever I could at 13, was addicted to cocaine by 19. Thought I'd die before 30 and was completely okay with that. I'm almost 5 years clean. 30 next month. Bird shit hit me in the mouth while driving once. I pulled over and insta-vomed. Called my boss and told her I would be late. I was interning at a bank at the time. She told me to take the day off, but also to get a lottery ticket. Apparently, getting shit on by a bird is good luck. Anywho, I bought 2 $1 scratch-offs, won $50 on both. My grandma lived close by, so I showered there. I scratched the tickets while smoking a cigarette with her in her kitchen. Good memory. Find somebody to love. Cancer at 19, losing my mom at 24, losing my aunt at 21, the list goes on. Shit's rough, man. A tornado damaged my roof while I was trying to sell my house. 2 years later, the next house burned down. 6 months after that, a massive ice storm dropped 4 trees and completely crushed the next house. In that same year, I took an antibiotic that destroyed my connective tissue, my husband got third-degree burns in the house fire, and my son got bit by a copperhead snake, my grandfather died of COVID, and my car caught fire. I've learned to never, ever assume that something won't happen to you. I got manipulated by someone who stole everything from me. My child, my home, my cars, my possessions, everything. And now just trying to get my child back seems impossible, and I'll be in debt till the day I die, maybe even after. Today marks 1 month of not cutting. I'm so proud of myself.